Maury from Slice and we are looking to allow individuals to invest into commercial real estate for just $1, really allowing anybody to become a owner in the buildings that they live in, the buildings they work in, their favorite sports venues, and be able to receive rent on these things.
Welcome back. I have friends.
Yo, it's your boy Flystone the Motive from the Flystone Podcast, Trap Nights Podcast. Here kicking it on Guns and Butter.
This is my brother. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a Potter. I'm Harry Potter.
I call him to pull up, and he just ready to pot at all times.
You know,
this is mutant power. And we have a new friend who we got a chance to meet at the Emerge conference. And by the way, we're in the Idea Center, Miami-Dade College. No longer community college. We're stepping their game up. We're getting into the crypto Web3 space. And it's just a world school now. Shout out to Miami-Dade College for having us, the Idea Center specifically. And introduction, Maury from Slice Space. Tell them a little bit about yourself, Maury.
Hey guys, how you doing? Maury from Slice Space. And we are looking to allow individuals to invest into commercial real estate for just $1, really allowing anybody to become a owner in the buildings that they live in, the buildings they work in, their favorite sports venues, and be able to receive rent on these things.
For $1.
$1 entry.
$1.
We usually don't get a chance to get these opportunities because these are usually private deals that have been in the works for 15 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
You don't know about a project until you see it. And Maury is removing the veil and kind of decentralizing real estate ownership. So let's give a round of applause. I don't even think I have we'll give you the Street Fighter. Perfect. That's what I got queued. Let's just go with that. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what made you want to start Slice Space?
Sure. So I come from a background, my family has been in the construction, the commercial construction space for my entire life. I was always drawn to the finance and the coding side of things. So I went to school for finance where I met one of my professors at the time. A finance professor was like, hey guys, I'm doing a seminar on a Saturday. I'll have pizza. And we're going to talk about some web stuff, right? I was like, dope.
Pizza it is.
Yeah,
I've
free
sold
pizza.
That pizza.
You had me at pizza.
Exactly. So I show up on a Saturday. It's me and 2 other kids. He has pizza there, and he starts talking to us about Bitcoin, right? And what is the real revolution? And I had heard about Bitcoin at that time, but I didn't really understand the mechanics of it or the finance of it or just the technicals. And that kind of pushed me down a rabbit hole of just trying to get deeper and deeper understanding of what this is and what the space means. So it evolved ever from Bitcoin to just in general blockchain and cryptography in different degrees.
Okay.
You said what year this was?
This was 2014 or 15.
Hey, you know what's funny too? I heard the first Bitcoin transaction was a pizza. A pizza delivery.
Yeah, 2 pizzas. Yeah.
All this foreshadowing.
Yeah. So and I think it was 2 pizzas and 10,000 Bitcoin at the time was the first. Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So from there, I spent a little bit of time working at JP Morgan, leading a few tech teams there. And at one point I was just I can't just do this. I need to do something that means a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
of course.
I took a step back and I was like, well, real estate is something that everybody says to invest in, really a stable, safe thing. But it's in this day and age, if you walk into a realtor's office with $10,000, they'll laugh you out.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. And what day do we that $10,000 is still significant, but most people can't invest into real estate, let alone anything else in regards to it. So what we sought out to do is to create a method that makes it more accessible and takes away the risks of simple real estate and then makes it also scalable, right?
Okay.
Like right now in this day and age, like if you wanted to acquire a whole bunch of real estate, you basically have to set up your own company around it, right? And like give it all your effort, but there's no way to just like also be a real estate investor. The only way is a REIT, which is like a stock of real estate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
You invest into that, and basically when you,
But so the trick of that is, right, you're investing into a bag of like real estate investments, right, which maybe like, let's say there's 10 in there. 8 of them might be garbage. 2 of them are holding up the portfolio.
Right.
They're like, 5% year over year, but like, what did you do in terms of like picking it, right? You didn't have any say.
Yeah.
So in this day and age where you can like pick anything you want and cherry pick things, we were like, all right, let's create a similar platform, a marketplace where people can actually go in, select the property they want, view all the details about it, and then just like add it to their on app wallet, right? So you can kind of have that, and then you receive. Yeah, that's the first part, and then there's like rent, right? So like these properties, right? We're sitting in middle of Miami. We're looking at these like beautiful sky rises, right? Like there's a whole bunch of them that are multi-unit, like 100 units, 200 units that receive rent, right? Those receive rent on a regular.
Right.
As a fractional owner, you receive rent on a daily basis on our platform. So like
Sheesh.
every day you hold it, you receive a fraction of that rent. And you can like you get into your balance. You get a card that you can spend your balance. You can literally do so much with that.
It tokenizes the rent.
It's all in USD. It's like all in USD. Yeah, we
So
just
it's
use blockchain as the back end, right?
Yeah.
I fundamentally think that like we're geeking out about blockchain, right? It's because like we're a little bit of like, I mean, we're nerds, cool. That's fun.
This is true.
But like the real world, like most people know how to drive a car. Not many people know how an engine works.
Right.
Facts. That's 100% true.
So I think we're in the space where we kind of have to like be aware of this and kind of move ourselves back and be like, all right, how do we create something that will actually be available to everybody, even if they don't want to wrap their minds around like wallets and private keys and public keys and NFTs and right, like all these things that like intimidate people.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where we came up with the abstraction concept and kind of like how Robinhood took away the difficulties of investing.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're simplifying the user interaction to the level so you're not even just attracting young people. You know, somebody might be in their 40s and 50s, but your interface, if it matches your process, will be so simple.
Yeah.
You know, it's just something easy to jump in. I don't have to go and educate myself
Exactly.
on the mechanics of how this works. And I missed a lot of opportunities while trading crypto because you had to jump through so many hoops.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty much.
just from this wallet to that wallet, and this platform doesn't take this.
Yeah.
And trying to cash out of that, and it's
Right.
like you can't, like we're talking about like, okay, commercial real estate is $25 trillion in the U.S. with a T, $300 trillion in the world. It is the biggest asset class, bigger than all of equities and like all assets put together.
Of course.
Right? So we're talking about an old industry that like doesn't want to get shocked.
Yeah.
And so you have to approach it in a very, very systematic way where you're just giving it new technology, but not like shaking the bed of it. Right.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do.
You're easing the transition.
Bingo.
You know, you're getting some of the people who may not dabble in the spaces we're moving into a chance to figure out their space. You know, you might not be the head honcho or the apex in this next market overturn.
Yeah.
But you'll have a space.
Bingo.
Yeah.
You know, and you
Bingo.
can take what you had and it's still viable.
Bingo.
Is it possible to like set this program up through your like IRA right now? Or?
That's actually a good question. So right now, the way that we're structuring it is it's kind of going to be like you do it with any excess funds that you want to deposit in.
Okay.
That's actually a great idea for the long term.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't want to get taxed every year. I'm getting paid every day rent.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely.
There's something neat that does happen though when you become an actual fractionalized owner of real estate that on a commercial size. If the building is new, you can actually write off a fraction of that as deduction on the building itself. So in an interesting way, like nowadays when people are building brand new buildings, they get that deduction for almost like 10, 15 years. So it almost matches their rent roll. Right. So they're receiving rent for free.
Dang.
Yeah, well, tax free.
Yeah,
at least,
yeah.
you know? And so, like, that's a cool thing that you can add. We issue out K1s at the end of the year.
Okay.
Which means that you're a partial owner in this, like, company that owns the building.
Yeah.
And so what you get to do is you get to use that deduction on your own personal tax returns as well.
Right.
So in a sense, it's kind of like that.
Yeah. Basically, you just putting us in a situation where
Bingo.
we can't do the write-offs. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is the focus going to solely be on large commercial spaces, or are you going to have a mixed bag of different things, or is it going to be project-based? How deep are you going to go down a rabbit hole of how the projects are going to be managed?
That's a good question. So there's a few people on the blockchain right now that have been trying to do tokenized and fractionalized real estate, but they do residential, right? So imagine like, okay, you're like, I want to be a landlord. I'm going to be a landlord of this residential property. It has one tenant. Well, now you have 100% risk of that one tenant not paying
the
rent.
Exposure's different.
Right?
I get you.
And so like now you're 100% risk prone. What if they don't pay? Do you evict them? Yada, yada, right? Like a whole bunch of risk. But if you go into like these larger properties, right, more often than not, if you have 100 units, it's a percentage game, right?
Yeah,
Even if you have 10 not paying, you have 90% occupancy, right? Everything's okay.
Yeah.
You're getting a fraction of it. With businesses, usually, if you have like a warehouse, I don't know if you guys know this, but Amazon rents out their warehouses, right? They don't actually own them, most of them. They rent them out. And so like these businesses have contracts for like 10, 15 years on those properties.
Yeah.
They pay rent consistently because they're a business, right? That's their job. So there's a whole bunch of different factors that go into like the thought of going towards commercial focused, and hopefully like creates less risky opportunities for investors.
Right, because again, and what we're trying to teach is opening our minds for like new spaces and new areas, and not settling on plateaus, because this is a great new idea, and exploring it in just a traditional way of just saying, oh, I'm going back to residential. You know, what you're saying is you eliminate a lot of the exposure you have to some of the risks based on, you know, who gets approved for certain spaces.
Exactly.
Walmart getting approved for a building space is totally different. You know their credit.
They're paying.
They're going to pay. Or a large company or a utility company, they're going to pay.
Exactly.
So
and you be like right now, us becoming an owner of a building like that is just like barred by high walls. Right. It's like the walled garden, and like we want to be a part of it too. Right. It was just limited because technology was crap before. It was just a whole bunch of paperwork to get this done. Now we've created a system that like automatically does all these calculations in the back end that can help out people to get in.
And our portfolios are going to be way more diverse now because there's more investment opportunities. So we're going to have not only just a multitude of stocks on this side, but what are we doing in the crypto space or
the real estate space?
Real estate space.
Bingo.
And you know, what are those spaces now? You know, are they 3 different or 4 different spaces available to me now? So I might have an excess of $20,000 a year. I know I can get into commercial real estate with just $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever, and you know, I'm going to go stock heavy because it's another bull run. Let's say 10 years from now, and I'm going to shift, you know, this percentage here, but I'm still keeping my exposure.
Bingo.
And you can adjust without having to make such a huge commitment to where you're missing both opportunities.
And you can liquidate it as quickly, right? So nowadays, like if you get into real estate, dude, to get out is like months process. Right?
You gotta wait till a buyer, seller.
Exactly. And so we're creating a marketplace that is instantly liquid, right? You put like that 1,500 or however much money you want into one space, and let's say like you're seeing a run somewhere. All right, let's like pull from here to here, or like the crypto market's cooling off. Let's go back. Right? It's about being able to move your funds. And to your point on diversification, right? Like. My grandmother always says like a good table stands on 4 legs, right? Just like put a little bit everywhere. When we're going through a super pullback on the market, crypto market right now. If your entire funds are in that, like it's a hard time.
And
it might be a long time for this hard time.
Don't be this guy.
Right. You know, and I think just, you know, we got introduced to the crypto space after the last bull run, which we were like, of course, dead last. And we bought, I guess we bought the coins at great opportunities, but we just, you know,
we were
poking a stick at
diamond
it, like,
handed,
do a flip,
yeah,
like do something.
diamond
And,
hand.
Thousands of dollars worth of not Bitcoin and Doge and all these sleepers. And now we understand, okay, you approach it when it's a great investment, even if it falls. You get in there and you start feeding.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put 10,000 at a time. You can, hey, I'm only putting 200 a week.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I'm doing that, and I'm waiting for this to pop 3-4 years from
Exactly. The long-term game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, getting into it at the right time, doing it consistently over time, and having the accessibility to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, right now, it's really about, like, which fields can we continue tapping into to open the doors, right? So, yeah.
Yep. And
the real estate, hopefully.
right. And this is all at a time where we should all be retraining our thought processes on how we want to invest and approach investing, and where we're going to be. Like years ago, I can start to see, just off my limited knowledge, not like the knowledge we all have now from pre-pandemic and post-pandemic of just consuming so much, but I'm looking and I'm like, America is going into service-based like very fast. Like it's making a sharp turn. Yes, we're going to have some industries come home, but is that going to be sustainable when they're trying to compete with the China or these other places where they have all the labor, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank. Well, they have all the advantages on the labor side. But here we have the opportunity to create the services that people want. We know we can react, and we have all the data to see, everybody's looking for this right now.
Yeah.
I can go create just that interaction, or create shorten that gap between the customer and what they want. And there's the opportunity, instead of going and opening this whole factory and creating this and having to become a plumber and this and that and learn all. It's like slowing me down.
Yeah. I think to that point, like service also could include like creating robotics that facilitate the process, right? So I think like big shout out if you guys saw like the whole Tesla factory down in Austin. Yeah. It's crazy. Like they're literally creating the entire thing with just robots end to end. Right. And so like cars just popping out with a robot doing it. So I think to your point, right, like we're not going to be doing the same style manufacturing as the Far East. We're going to create robots that do the manufacturing.
We're going to need operators who manage those. So start shifting into that. It might not just, I'm going to become a full-time stock investor. No, just shift into a field adjacent to your field.
Bingo.
Like I'm
and train yourself well on it, right? So I think like if you're even gonna say like, all right, I'm gonna invest in stocks. All right, like, well, what do you do, right? If you're in a field like that you really understand, right, electrical, right? Why not invest into companies that you understand are doing the good thing in the long run, right? They're developing the products or the actual detailed things, the services, right, that in the future will continue to be utilized. And I think that's like the best way of actually investing with knowledge rather than like speculating or trading. It's like, all right, I understand this subject matter, I understand this industry and field, let me just go all in on it.
It's funny that you say that, because when I first got into stocks and stuff like that, like I was vegetarian. So like the first few stock I was investing in, like I seen there was like a meat shortage and stuff like that. Like I was doing puts on Wendy's and stuff like that, and I'm doing options on Beyond Meat and stuff like that. Like
Beyond popped.
Yeah.
Have you eaten Beyond? Do you like it?
Not better than Impossible.
Okay, yeah, Impossible is also pretty tasty. Yeah. I'm like, I've tasted them. I like them. They're pretty tasty. I'm just like curious what what is putting also synthetics in our body.
Exactly. That's what made me start back eating meat. Like I was doing it for like 3-4 years, and I'm like, bro, this is not healthy. Me just eating processed.
It's super processed.
Yeah, it's super
it
processed.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like we went on a fast at the beginning of the year. Like we did the Daniel fast, where you do 21 days of just eliminate something. Okay. So I said, at this time I'm not doing fish. I'm just going straight vegan. And luckily I know how to cook, so I was just trying to substitute these into different meals, and then it would work, and visually, and sometimes you get a texture. But when I came off of it, and I've done a lot of working out, so like I'm craving a lot of protein. And it's just like my body remembers the experience of eating all that processed food, and it's like, don't do that.
Yeah, processed.
It's like weird, like don't. It was cool, but don't
diets.
Yeah, it's like
I had a lot of people cooking stuff for me, so it was like it was kind of a middle ground. But after like 9, 10 o'clock, when everything's closed, the grocery store closed, and everybody sleep, and all the vegan restaurants close early, it's getting pretty tough at night, man.
That's wing appreciation hour.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
11
exactly.
o'clock
Like
is
it used to be so easy to get some chicken wings from anywhere. Go to a late night bar or something like
You're
that.
looking for wings, some kind of Philly,
A burger.
pizza.
Yeah,
Philly.
super easy.
There's nothing healthy at that time.
Yeah,
And
no.
you know it.
You're not getting no
you gotta
vegan
dive
burger
right
at 12 o'clock at night.
No.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do like a
Yes,
generic
it-
question. Where do you see Slice Space in the next 5 years?
That's a good one. Well, I think I hope that we move to actually like open the doors for a whole bunch of different opportunities for people. We have a roadmap of in the first 2 years of launching, we're going to onboard 100 properties, and then from there on out, we're just going to keep scaling it up with more liquidity being available to us. Hopefully, we have the availability to open the doors to like both mixed use in all varieties, right, as well as like the bigger, more anticipated projects that we want to do, like stadiums and more public spaces. The thing we're really trying to do, though, is have a mixed bag of things, right? So, for instance, today, if we were talking and we were like, all right, what's a better investment, Tesla or General Electric? Well, they're two very different investments, right? Tesla is for the appreciation value, and General Electric is for the dividend, right? Because it pays you out every single.
Stable.
Yeah,
Exactly. But then the same question could be asked, like, oh, would you rather invest in a building in Miami or a building in like Middle Colorado, right? Like the Middle Colorado has like somewhere in the ballpark of 15% cash on cash every year, right? Versus the one in Miami might be like popping for appreciation, right?
Yeah.
So like it's really about like, and I think as like Slice Space, we're trying to focus about creating the optionality.
The different categories if you want to
Bingo,
invest in.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
want a
super good.
parking garage that just pays like a whole bunch of cash, but like is it never going to go up in value? Or do you want like a really, really nice building a few months before it opens where once it starts going, it's going to...
Super appreciate in the next couple of years.
Exactly.
And I think like from
Good
what we
idea.
used to teach, like stocks and options, the only thing I hated when some people would just come in for the money play. And it's like, I'm not going to always be here to hold your hand. So at least know enough to know what you need.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where I am in life. You might have $500 and I have $100,000 to invest. So this next move I make in the next 5 seconds is based on my net worth, my wealth, my family's positioning. I already have my kids in private school, and you're trying to make it. So you need to know this is more tailored to my decisions or what my plan is for the next 5 years. So you're offering that with just the story of the space, and not story in the sense of just the theatrics of the story, but like, no, this is what this building is going to do. Oh yeah, that's a place I want to invest in.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's funny because it's not normally an available thing, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever, like, gone into a stadium and been like, damn, like, I wonder how much this place makes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you're
I
like,
actually worked at a stadium.
worked at a
and
stadium.
there
I
you
wonder
go.
how much it
You ever,
made.
like, sit there and you're like, all right, so, like, how much does it make? Cool. Like, why can't I get some, like, how can I be a
How
part
do
of
I
it?
get
Yeah.
in on this?
Right. But for right now, they're like, no.
Right. And I think it was just the industrialization of how the old businesses are. Like, they're already wrapped up.
Right.
You know, there's only so much you can
It's
get
the
with
boys
that.
club, you know,
Yeah.
like the good old
Yeah.
boys club, and like it kind of closes you off. And so that's not in the day and age where we're like, all right, equality means opportunity, means like ownership of the things around you, right? Like, hold up, but why can't we have this too,
Exactly.
right?
Right.
So yeah, I think it fundamentally falls down to the technology wasn't there,
Yeah.
right?
And the Web3 space, which I'm so excited about, and everybody you see me championing now, it gives everybody just a chance to start a project, create something new, and start at the beginning to your idea. Like, if you worked at a job for 12 years and you saw something was unfair based on ABC, and you see how blockchain can solve that, or how smart contracts can solve that, you can be the pioneer that changes that now, make all the money in the world from it, but really have lasting change in that system.
Yeah.
You know, something you saw 12 years just pissing everybody off.
Yeah.
Even at the least, just like, yo, we always hated that, but now you changed that forever and created a business. So
Exactly.
you're applying your knowledge to new fields that have no governing forces yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, okay, so like to ride on that, right? I think that like in the long term, right, if we're being realistic about this entire space, there should be governance, right? Because
Yeah, of course.
right, we need
It's
like
super wild, wild west right now.
right, we need some authoritarian body being like, okay, this is not okay, right? In a certain fashion. That's where at which point like the doors will really open for real money and real investment.
Exactly.
I think on the real note though, like right, what we've been seeing in the space, and I'm gonna hit it a little bit, like right, like what is the technology being used for, right?
Right.
When it's being used to fractionalize something or provide ownership, we must really think of like, what is the ownership? If it's a JPEG of something, right?
Let me get out of the way. They might start fighting.
So like it's just about evaluating what is the ownership that is representing, and I think that's when we really start like bleeding into the real world with it. There's a few really cool projects that are also working on like tokenizing and fractionalizing assets, collectibles, comic books, right? Things that have value, cars, things like that just sit there on display. And so like the space is really going to evolve to see what else can we really fractionalize ownership of.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited about that.
I got a question, because I'm a real like collector. That's how I even got into like the little NFT space. You know, I want to know how you feel about as far as like having collectibles as physical. Because I was at a comic book shop and like I was in there for like a good 30 minutes to an hour. I just felt in love. Like I just wanted to be a comic book collector. Like I'm doing research while I'm in there, sitting there for a whole hour. Like, okay, this is a key issue. Okay, all right. But they also have the VV app where you could get digital comic books and they store it on the blockchain. It's actually Disney licensed through the VV app. So I'd be kind of like asking people who are collectors of comic books and stuff what they're collecting and stuff like 100%. That. But in aspect, me having my digital copy of my comic book sitting on the blockchain is way more efficient to me. You. Like if a coffee spill or my book get damaged, so my house get a water flood, my collectibles could be gone.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then. What I guess this stems back to like, are you collecting it because you really like it, or are you collecting it in order to resell it?
A little bit of both. Like, I'm not a quick flipper, but I feel like in my mind, it's kind of hard to like not spend money. It's like a dopamine in my mind. Like I'm go spend my money on something to make me feel better about my, that's just really what it is. So if I buy like a bear brick or a Cause doll, I know I could get my money back in equal value or more value. So I just spend my money on that rather than a pair of shoes. As soon as I wear it, it depreciates automatically, or a car, it go depreciate as soon as it get off
like
the lot.
It's like a better storage of value because it's going to appreciate, but it's also your taste and physically you can come in my house and see I have it.
Exactly.
I like that. I guess the only risk you run into that is the limiting factor of collectibles, which is like it's only as liquid as like your ability to ability to flip it, right? Like it's not like if I give you $1 and another $1, right? They're identical.
Yeah,
like, it's $1, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's always going to be a use for it. But like with a collectible, it's like, all right, well, I can say it's worth $10,000. You can say it's worth $1.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, you bought at a yard sale. I bought, yeah. So I think that's like the caveat for it. Whereas like I'm always on the premise of like if I like it on my wall, I love it. I have some art that I love on the wall, and I'm like, whatever, it is what it is worth because I like to see it on my wall.
Yeah.
Versus like if I'm trying to make money on it, I'm like I need to be able to like offload that
quick, super fast,
vacuum sealed,
done, right? Like my duffel bag's gone, right? Like we're out of here. So like that's kind of where I've always. And that's a point to real estate too, right? Like real estate, you can't get out of that fast.
Exactly.
Right? And any real estate you hold on to, it takes a few months to offload.
Yeah.
So right? It's about being aware of these kinds of investments and how liquid they really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That what really makes it an asset on how easy you can liquidate it. 'Cause I think
Bingo.
I was seeing something about Rich Dad Poor Dad saying like a house is really not an asset. That's like the American dream,
Your
but
liability.
yeah, it's a liability.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of that house, and especially if you're staying in it, you definitely can't get rid of
Right.
it for cash.
Right.
Unless you mortgage it and get it more,
Even then, and so like, and then we ask ourselves like, all right, so what does it mean when people are like invest in real estate, right? Like, well, it's definitely not your first home. Your home is not your real estate.
Which a lot of
investment.
people
Yeah, exactly.
make the horrible mistake and think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
don't
I
take
think
into
that's the
account-
American dream. Get a
Yeah.
Like,
Get a
no,
house,
You're investing into
pick a
your
fence.
family by picking an area
100%.
Yeah.
where you're saying,
100%.
I want my family to be stationed here. I want my legacy to be left here.
Absolutely. You're investing in your comfort. You're investing in your ability to access various resources.
Yeah.
100%. There is an investment element in that.
Yeah.
But let's not like dilute the fact that like you're not going to get your money back on that investment anytime soon.
anytime soon.
Right. And even then, like you can put in like a brand new kitchen for whatever, like $10,000. You're probably not going to get that back dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
Unless it's like an extreme flipping environment, like 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, leading up to now, it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
you're getting. Well, now it's slowing down and the profit margins are going down a little bit, but you were getting the max amount for your efforts as fast as possible. I want to say a year ago. Just that FOMO of like, me. I sat and I'm like, okay, well, I see what this is gonna turn into. I don't know exactly how, but a lot of people are probably going to be in, screwed up positions, just off like a lot of the Airbnb investors who over leveraged themselves to cash
Way
flow,
over-leveraged.
10%.
It's not even like it's way diluted now. Like in the real estate, in the Airbnb space, because everybody popped up and like made Airbnbs and overinvested, rented out, and to make Airbnbs.
Yeah.
It is going in a weird direction now. I don't know how it is in Miami.
It's just
but-
like decentralized hotels. That's all it is. 'Cause
Yeah.
like in Orlando, we like to stay in townhouses because you can get more bang for your buck unless you decide to do the resort thing. It's either resort or townhouse, but I don't suggest hotel. These have better benefits. But now you can get a townhouse where there's a Darth Vader room and there's this room, and there's that room, and at
They
first,
got themes.
that was a
stuff
big
like that.
sell, but now they all have the same contractors and the same stagers.
and now the price is going down.
Now
and all
it's
these people
coming
who leveraged
because
yeah.
now you just have to maintain that property. Now it's back.
Now
It's back on you because you have to have a quality rating for people to come
Yeah.
versus just
Yeah.
having a Star Wars inspired room.
Exactly. And at that point, it's like it becomes a very tedious job to upkeep and maintain.
And it becomes
Yeah.
work again.
Well, it's every good thing in life is work, but it's
Yeah.
just more so like you have to be conscientious of like, is this the path you're going to go on? Because at that point, it's going to become a drain.
Do you love
Yeah.
the work?
Right.
But that's
Bingo.
the difference. It's
Bingo.
like, I'm starting to learn like, you're supposed to enjoy a little bit of toiling.
Right.
For something you love a little bit. But that's only going to come from a space where you love what you're doing. If you did this solely for money, like, we have a side hustle culture down here because everything is expensive as with every other business. I mean, business-oriented big city. So, let's say, for instance, rental cars, slingshot rentals, Airbnbs, all of these cool touristy things, people experience their first down season, not thinking that, hey, there's a down season for this.
Yeah.
We live in a place where perpetual sunshine.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not perpetual vacation season for
Yeah,
everybody.
exactly.
So who survived those tough 4, 5, 6 months?
Those who didn't leverage heavy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
super.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a hard thing to learn for some people, but it's why did you even get in that space? Solely for the money.
Yeah.
So now, do you stay?
Passive income, passive income, passive income.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
passive income isn't good passive income.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Nothing
first
is
person.
passive in life, dude.
Yeah.
Nothing
Thank
is
you.
passive. And not income, not personalities, not like relationships. You can't like passive anything
Yeah, exactly.
because then it's gonna pass you by, right?
Right
Yeah.
by.
And it's hard not to develop a sense that like the world is just always out to get you. I think it's more so looking at it like ping pong. I mean, not ping pong, but a pinball table. There's just a shitload of obstacles at all times. That's a part of the game. The game is playing the obstacles, not that somebody placed the obstacle in front of you and it's like, woe is me, they're taking it again. It's like, nah. Those months when we were smashing the market and we were taking
Everything
money out
was
of Warren
all
Buffett's
fine.
pocket,
Yeah.
we were like, yo, we're market gods. And
It's great.
we had a higher return this month than Warren Buffett. Like, that's the first time, in history, but he had a game plan for us,
Yeah.
and well, not him necessarily. I don't want to create a person. But the market had a game plan for us
Right.
the next month.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we all lost a lot of money. And the people who stayed motivated and learned what
Stay
happened
true.
became, you start getting smaller returns, but you start getting more consistent returns. And this is now becoming a lifestyle for the people who stuck around and say, you
Right.
know what, I can feed my family with this if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Or I can make all my investments
Right.
solely based off of this initial investment.
Right.
You know.
The funny thing about investments is like, so which in the regular stock market, which portfolios are the
What's
best
that?
performing? Best performing.
Right.
Hack. You guys know? Read? No. Any? So the portfolios of dead people.
Yeah?
So because they don't,
don't
do
look at
anything. They don't look at it.
Hey, I be trying to like
long-term investing.
Yeah.
Think about that. So like,
Yeah.
right? So like, if we're talking about like what is passive, what is side, right? You take a little bit of brain effort, you pick something that is long-term, and you just let it ride.
Let it
because you
ride.
Decided that's a good decision at one
let it
point.
ride.
But that's like retraining your brain. It's a little bit more than like, no one book is going to give you the quick step. You have to read all the books to see like it's a common tone of like,
Bingo.
you have to fix you
Yeah.
and stop needing to make risky investments.
Yeah.
And then you'll stop making risky investments.
Exactly.
You can learn all the long-term investments, but if you still position yourself to be needy and positioned for like risky investments,
Yeah.
you're going to just keep making them.
Yep.
Because the situation is always going to rise for a risky investment.
This
to
is the
make money
one.
off of.
I'm telling you, I know it. This is
But
the
if
one.
you start saying, I'm okay with only making $300 this month, even though I made $300,000 all last year,
Yeah.
I'm going to just do it slow and slow.
Slow grind.
Right.
Compound interest is a real thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
compounding is big. It's big, especially like the benefits that also are there for us when we hold in a long asset are beyond just the way it performs itself, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the government benefits,
Yeah.
rewards us, right? Like there's a different asset
You're
class.
incentivized
Yep.
at all times.
Right, so like it's about the long-term decisions, and sometimes people get too inundated by like the day-to-day.
Yeah.
You kind of have to really remind yourself to zoom out on all things you do. Zoom out, right? Like in the grand scheme of this, how much does this decision matter?
Yeah.
Right? In your pinball analogy, right? There's a lot of hectic things going on, but like you really only make a few decisions, right? You hit the ball
Yes,
a few
no.
times.
No.
Yeah, it's like that's it. That's like, and there's only a few of those, and
Yeah.
you keep the entire like scheme going. But like, remember, it's not like as hectic. Like, there's a lot going on, but like at the end of it, it's just noise.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's funny that you said that too, because I didn't look at my stock portfolio in about 2-3 months, and I don't know what came over me yesterday. I was like, let me see what's going on in the market. I'm like, oh. I'm just looking at.
Wrong
I'm like,
time to
whoa, whoa.
yeah.
Right, but when it's all red, like
Did you buy more?
Nah, not yet.
It's too
Not
busy,
yet.
look
Yeah.
at what to buy.
So that's the trick of it, right? So like you made a decision when you made into these investments. If you took your time and you educated yourself and you're like, this is a good investment because XYZ, the company's going to grow over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, of course.
Buy more.
Buy
it's
more.
on discount right
Buy
now.
the dip.
Why do people see, like, when you see red on a store when you walk by, like red on a shirt, you're like, oh, dope, discount.
Yeah.
20% off.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't we see the same thing in the markets?
Gotta
Yeah,
retrain
you're right.
your brain. Like, if I would have really loaded up on that last very low of Tesla when it was like 363, instead of living in the moment of what I just lost,
Yeah.
or held on to the options that I had
That's
at
why
that moment.
options are tricky.
Yeah, it's
Bro,
so
it's
tricky.
just it's the bull thing at the bar. It's like just and it's-
Yeah.
and
You
it's
just
like,
did
all
for
you have
the
to do is hold
adrenaline.
on. But after that, like I shed a lot of stuff to keep trading. So I shed a lot of things to create cash to trade. But I think once we got into about February of that year, and I calculated all the options, if I would have held on to them, what it would have been like I think it was like a cool $40,000 to $60,000
Just on
just
like,
from that
holding.
4-month span of holding.
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta learn how to just.
Yeah,
Go
that's just
away.
it. I have like a theory where I'm like, all right, well, like God forbid something happens, right? Like, and I can't look at my portfolio for the next like year, right?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be like happy when I look at it in a year?
Yeah, exactly.
Not if you had Google. Not if you had some of these big, huge, squares down 50% or something like that.
Right now, I mean, but like think about it, like these companies aren't really going anywhere. They're becoming more and more integrated into our
Indoctrinated
life,
into
Yeah.
right? Like they're
And you have
creating
to look
more
at
and-
that. It's like,
there you go.
It's on discount because, Square is killing me in my portfolio, but I'm using Square to pay.
Bingo. And
Yep.
eventually, when they're reporting their earnings again, people who are like the big powers that are gonna be like, oh wait, we misevaluated like how much it's actually worth here, because that's really what a stock is.
Pretty
right?
much.
Like, you're kind of evaluating its future returns based off of today's like discount rate.
Yeah.
Right? So like, at least in theory, in actuality, there's a lot more speculation, but
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, but and again, you know, we've gotten all the way into the stock market game. That's like we're like the OG Robinhood Raiders and planning all these raids, but we went through that phase, and it helped us start to position ourselves to be real investors. And what I noticed, the best thing that happened to me was just waking up and just watching world news.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and kind of getting some of the back story to some of these things.
Bingo.
Like, instead of just finding out that this commodity is going down now, if I would have been watching the news for the last 3 months, I would have saw that coming
It's
a mile
coming
away.
like a
Yeah.
mile
And the
away.
war taught me that. You know, I was
Yeah.
something made me start watching some stuff on the war. I think the Caspian News Report in December, and I'm like, this is just interesting. I'm watching
Yeah.
history play out.
I love that.
And I just seen how all of the commodities and everything played into it along the way. And
Yep.
I'm saying, oh, this is what I need to do every day.
Long-term game to it. There's a really, really good one. I personally listen to the Bloomberg podcast in the morning.
Every morning.
Yeah, like they will literally tell you things as they're coming down and you're like, oh well, like duh. and then it happens, and you're like, well, they talked about it for like 2 months. Like if you didn't move, then you're deaf. Right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you have to
Facts.
see it real quick to kind of say, okay, well, damn, I missed that opportunity,
Right.
but I knew it was coming. I
Right.
missed that
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
Hey, is this kind of a repeating cycle? Yes.
Yeah.
If you get on board 4 months ahead of time, just like the bankers know, like they always tell you, they know what they're going to do for earnings well before earnings.
Exactly.
You're just trying to
Exactly.
guess on the back end
Exactly.
using lagging indicators and all of this
Exactly.
BS. But if you were in tune with that company ahead of time and hearing all the company reports,
Just listen
and
to the tone.
Nah,
Like, just listen to the tone.
just drop it. If you dropped it in January, you'd have got your cash out in December.
I ain't gonna lie, it feel like when you like invest in the stuff 4 months earlier, you kind of feel like an idiot. Like when I
Yeah.
invest in the sun, I'd be like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It was the most horrible.
I
Yeah,
don't even know these guys.
it's the most horrible thing ever. Then 4 months later, it's just boom. Like I'm the smartest guy ever. Like
You gotta trust your gut, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
Like holding on, and like you're like, there is a voice inside you. If you're doing it rationally, and you take, and if you're wrong, you know what, like.
That's
then
life.
It's life.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you retune, you don't invest more than you're willing to lose.
yeah, exactly.
But like, just hold until like you know it's right.
Yeah,
Right. Like don't doubt the gut.
yeah. Okay.
You made that decision for a reason at the right time. It might still like take you for a ride, but like just hold on.
That's
Just
how I feel about.
hold on.
That's how I feel about XRP.
Oh God. there's no coin shilling here. I'm on the school of like the OG. We have an OG, right? Like for monetary value storage, and then we have like ones that facilitate certain purposes,
Yeah, of course.
right?
Of
And so
course.
like you really have to assess like what is use case, right? If it solves the same problem that's already been solved by a different coin, or it solves it in a better way, that doesn't really sell me on it, right? Because like I need like
It's
either-
funny that you said that. I just heard somebody say the exact same thing.
yeah. You know, like it's and so like, all right, the first one solved monetary and storage of value. Cool, BTC solved that, right?
Yeah.
And then we had like Ethereum, which was like a really cool like different model, similar model, right? Started smart contract, but didn't really solve the problem of like being able to process heavy loads of data.
Yeah.
If you guys know, like Ethereum is like a few terabytes of data. In order to download Ethereum, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Most people like if you wanted to like. All right, versus the Bitcoin network, which
Yeah.
is like 300 and somewhat gigabytes, you can carry it in like a flash drive that's tiny.
If you want to
in your
become a
pocket.
developer on the platform.
Right, and just to like download the entire history of the ledger, right?
Okay.
And so now we're thinking, all right, like, well, Ethereum didn't really do the good job of storing a lot of data because of how much gas is. They started gunking up the chain with like useless information, like crypto kitties, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
And so like that really like slowed down. And so now we're thinking, all right, we want to utilize blockchain. We want to utilize blockchain that is accessible. Which ones are accessible? And so we went around and searched, and we found Algorand to be one that was very accessible.
Algorand.
Yes, Algorand is a very accessible one, very easy easy to use, very scalable, and actually has the proof of stake concept pretty figured out versus like the proof of work element. I still like proof of work for actually my money, and my monetary like value there. But like in terms of like solving, implementing smart contracts and efficiently scaling projects on low gas, Algorand is really the way that we decided to move forward.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully we continue expanding with them. We're working very, very closely with the foundation in order to like reteach back some of the new things that our coders are doing. Our developers are working really hard to kind of add new elements to it as well. So we're excited to work with them. But to your coins point, I think it's really important to assess what is true value. Right? Like, what is the project trying to aim to do?
And not what the company or the PR team is just telling us.
Yeah, be weary
dig a little
of the
deeper
marketers.
And like, how does it apply in real world situations?
Exactly, right? Like, I will tell you that there's like more than 10,000 coins out there, and probably like 99.99999% of them are absolute garbage.
Do exactly what the coin before them.
Yeah.
The top 1%.
I mean, like we're joking around about like Dogecoin sometimes, but like Dogecoin is just a fork of Bitcoin. If you guys like dig deep into it, it's like, so like, did it really change the code? It changed the block size, it changed how it's processes, but did it actually implement something original?
Nope, not at all. And that's all the coins behind it, the Shibas, all that meme coins. They're basically doing the same thing. They're just trying to compete with the top meme coin, you know, and hoping that it do something.
And it has no difference in me like writing down like one, I don't know, Miami dollar on a piece of paper and being like, all right, that's a currency now.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, if you pay me $10,000 for it, we'll say it's a $10,000
pretty much
coin, but like, is it really? Is it actually?
Like, what is it doing?
Right.
Nothing at all.
Exactly.
And it's,
Not
you know,
one
like
thing.
some of us, like what I started to see and hate a little bit, especially on Twitter Spaces, was, are you just selling the cheese or are you actually eating it? Because both would be a little weird, because like, if you have all this knowledge, are you convincing yourself that this is something better than what it is? Or like, you know, that's when you get the shield talk of, are you just actively selling this for somebody because you've just amassed this large group of people?
Yeah.
Because you cannot possibly believe what you're saying with this. You're not saying any points that hold any.
It's like running circles.
Yeah, it's just like, you just kind of regurgitating facts. But, you know, once people start understanding the lingo and what these things mean, you're not just going to be able to fancy up your conversation anymore. They're going to say, no, what does it do? Show us the data. Show us.
Exactly.
Show
us it like applied. Show us the demo. Show us like the application. Most of these guys are like raising a crap ton of money around an idea. And like, I'm all for it. But like, unless you have an actual running platform more than just a front-facing website and a white paper, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right? And
so point there.
Right. These are all like things that like, because it's the Wild West of things, like people haven't really like dug deep into it, but you got to take the time to think about where you're putting your money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
With all things.
Yeah.
With all things.
That's real.
And this is a great time because it's just at a nice pace to learn. Like, stop rushing.
Yeah, it's not you super early right now, so you ain't got to.
That little blip up that we saw, it was induced by a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But it was just hey, I got your attention. This is a thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, now you have a couple years to go down this path and learn where do you fit in as an investor or as an entrepreneur or as somebody who's looking for new opportunities.
Or all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above.
I would say a cool metric to look at if you guys are trying to really like assess a blockchain is look at like how many wallets are opened and how many wallets are
actively used.
Okay.
Right? That's like a way different like parameter versus like how much market activity there is.
Yeah.
Right? If there's a volume can be made out of like 5 different wallets. But if you're talking like every day wallets are increasing by 10%, you're like, what?
That
Like,
mean more people is getting accustomed to it. Yeah.
right. More people are coding on it. More people are developing on it. More people are utilizing it. That's like where you actually have like some traction.
Yeah.
Right. So just things to assess.
So
right?
I'm trying to find a family. I'm getting into the coding and data space, and you are already with Algorand. What is your quick sell on why I should join
The Algo fam.
The Algo fam. Why should I start coding there? Why should I start developing my projects there?
It's like a pretty intuitive platform in terms of blockchains. It's really user friendly. It's fast. It's very fast. It's scalable and it's cheap to get onto. I mean, in terms of the community itself, they're very, very, very approachable, supportive community of individuals who really are looking to create real-world use for it. I think the interesting thing to note is like where all these other blockchains are really pushing money on marketing. These guys are pushing money onto like developing dev tools. Right. Developing like simple code infrastructure.
Investing into the people who are going to use it.
Right. Exactly. And which to me looks like a completely different move. They're not trying to raise money. They're selling really good systems. They just paired up with FIFA in order to do their entire like ticketing and certain NFTs on their platform on a 10-year contract. Right. Like these are the kinds of businesses that we want to like
investing in long term.
Things to consider when you make it. Even if you're making, let's say, more of a rookie investment decision. You know, like the 10-year contract is something that's set in stone. They've already initiated that. That's going to be a 10-year run. That runs well into the third year. They're going to suggest
other contract
to their partner companies.
Exactly, and and then you just see like these contracts. While sometimes you have to like pay to bid in the beginning, it's about 10-year gain, right? And so like every single year that there's like a FIFA, or every 4 years or whatever, there's like or at least one of their smaller meetups, they are pulling on this company to implement their technology again, right? And so, I mean, we were talking about earlier, but there's so many companies out there that are billion-dollar companies that literally we've never heard of.
Quiet as kept.
Right. And that doesn't mean that they're not operating efficiently. It's just like it's not in our wheelhouse. It's a niche company that serves a niche good. And so this is kind of like an infrastructure company that is solving a lot of the blockchain-related issues, right? Like the lack of trust between parties, things like that, in a really effective way. So
I'm sure the people who do cybersecurity at Amazon only got one client. Like they probably don't got a whole bunch of people. They probably only need Amazon.
But no, I would say they should be surprised because in my old job they had a whole cybersecurity department because of what's at stake. You just kind of have to be ready because you never know. Thanos might roll up, the cyber Thanos, and you have one guy on duty and he's overwhelmed. So they just kind of, just the same way a company will have 60 lawyers doing nothing and just ready for something to pop off. I think they're going to approach cybersecurity in the same way because what's at stake if you hack Amazon's credit card system, it's crazy. Versus something like a smaller company.
For sure.
But I was saying the company, I don't know, business mind thinking like a company should only be focused on my super top $1 billion company, you know, like.
Oh, you saying as far as like diversifying?
Like, all right, if I'm a cybersecurity company and Amazon is my client, I'm not finna take Taco Bell as another client. You get what I'm saying? Like,
it's like what is that? The 4-hour work week? When is it like 80% of your money comes. Why not just make them the guy?
I'm focused on Amazon. We ain't letting nothing come through here. Like we finna do this for.
Well, I'll take smaller partners to try new things out, probably.
Yeah, you're right, because it could get a little bit bigger, but
because you don't want to over specialize. That's another thing. You know, like maybe you are a specialty company, but you don't want to over specialize in one specific task.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a advantage in starting in a niche, but I think that over time, definitely expanding is critical.
Right. So. I think this has been a great episode.
Yeah.
You know, we got to talk some real, you know, and you guys didn't fight over NFTs. Because we're going to all start working.
NFTs to the moon.
So in theory, the code behind SliceSpace is the same, like, conceptual method, right? It's a non-fungible token.
Right? Basically.
Just not JPEGs.
But you know what? However you got into these spaces, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the journey. You'll get where you need to be at. If you ran away from any of the market crashes or you gave up, you know, if you say the money you lost was an investment into your knowledge and you stick around, something's going to happen for you. So
you don't lose until you sell.
Until you sell, until you quit, you walk away.
Warren Buffett buys and never sells. Take notes.
With that being said,
It's your boy Flystone Automotive. Well, all right.
all over the place. Got my guy Maury, Slice Space.
Check
Check it out. He's the first to pull it off. So
There you
it's
go.
a dope idea.
Rock it out.
You can find out about the company here.
Slicespace.com or Slicespace app.
All right,
on
we out.
Twitter. Thanks, guys.
Yep.